Dad, Daddy, Dad, Dad.
What?
I love you, Dad.
Oh, okay. Love you too.
The struggles that dad's facing, all that kind of stuff. So I've got a couple of questions which you what's the biggest struggle you find as a dad?
Me probably spending time with him because you got to get the mix right between achieving your own goals and being around for your kids.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because you got to be a little bit selfish in life as well. Like if you want to be at the top of your game, it's impossible to be the best dad of all time. And also really successful in your field. Yeah. But I think as long as you educate them about hard work and what you're trying to do, like it's the same for me. When I was growing up, my dad weren't really around that much, but when he was all in. Do you know what I mean? But I knew what he was doing. Yeah. He was grafting. It wasn't like I see him in nightclubs and stuff like that. I saw him stressed, like work, getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, traveling all the time. And that's the same thing. I think they get used to it. They're very resilient kids. Do you know what I mean?
Obviously, because you run a massive international business, how do you find getting that balance of being dad and also being Eddie Hearn?
It's difficult but it's sometimes you bring that stress home. Sometimes, do you know what I mean? To them, like I think sometimes if you've had a shit day and you're in a bad mood, it's very difficult just to open the door and go, hey. Oh, and you do that, but then if they're misbehaving, it all kind of just piles up, and it's not easy. But I think as well now, time is different. Like when I was growing up, my dad might phone the home, like we had no mobiles, anything like that. So he might phone once a week if he was away for 2 weeks, and then we'd all run on the phone. Dad, how you doing? But now I FaceTime. Snapchat. It's the only reason I use Snapchat, and it's the only way I can contact them. Do you know what I mean? But you send it, and they open it within a second. So just things like that, little pod. Like if you're not there all the time, just in the mornings, have a good day today. Give it your best. Proud of you. Blah blah blah. At night, get on a FaceTime, and to be honest with you, that's a very difficult age, 15 and 12, especially for a girl. I mean, fine. Like most of the time, I'm just going.
So teenage girls are meant to be like the worst human beings in the world. How do you find
my 15-year-old who's about to turn 16 is kind of, they say you lose them for a little bit and they come back to you. And I feel like I'm getting her back a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, there was a time
a bit later that should come back.
No, maybe she's not come back yet, but it feels that way. Like just like when she's, don't forget, like kids generally are not that nice to each other, at school and stuff like that. And obviously everyone knows who she is. Yeah. Like she's a pretty girl, but she's got a lot to say for herself as well. So she probably don't help herself. I wonder where she got that from, But so, like, some days they bring that home with her, and that's when you got to like not take it too personally and not be like, why are you in a mood? You know what? You just got to understand and go, okay, maybe you ain't had a good day today, so I'll try. But that's frustrating because I try, get out, get out. So
right now, then.
Well, it's when you've been away for a couple of weeks and you get to see them, and it's just
a massive hug.
Yeah, basically, I say that to them all the time. Yeah. But lately, there's been a few more hugs, so it's nice.
If there was one value that you could give to your kids to take them through the rest of their life, what would it be?
Hard work. That's it. And I think mine. That's how I was brought up. It's not just like you get given nothing. You work for everything. Every day you wake up, you work as hard. I mean, I think that sometimes. Everyone's different, and sometimes probably in my life I'm guilty of trying to be too much like my dad. And not everything he did was right. Do you know what I mean? So, but I think it built good qualities in me. So I feel like you see different generations of money. So when I was growing up, my dad, who came from nothing, was starting to make money when I was young. And then kept going, and I had a good upbringing. But he was from Dagenham, from a council estate. Then there's me, who grew up in a nice house, and now my kids, who, you know what I mean? And it actually gets hard.
How do you find it to, obviously, they're born with like a financially well
it's even hard. That is even harder, I think, for them to be successful, to have that mentality. I think one of my best attributes is I work like a dog, and my dad's always told me, work like you're skint, because that's what he was. Do you know what I mean? So I work like I'm skint, and even Frank Smith takes a piss out of me, like when we're doing stuff. Like I might say, like I know it sounds outlandish, but he might be like, why don't you just get a plane? I'm like, no, fuck that, that's 15 grand. He's like, mate, are you mad? And I'll be like, no. And I'll be like, back road EasyJet. Do you know what I mean?
You really quit it?
I did it the other day. No, but just like a standard flight. Like, and I was actually what happened was I was flying back from Europe into England, and the day before I had to come back, right? So I went on BA because I thought it was late, and I thought I'm not even going to message on BA. And there was one seat left on BA, and it was on the back row, right? And so I booked it, right? I mean, I thought I've got to get a jet otherwise. No, but I've got money, but I just sometimes it's like, I know it sounds, but it's 20 grand.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's 300 quid, and I'm like, I'm all right. You know? But then I got on the plane, and I'm sitting there, and I couldn't even get my knees down.
I mean, you are as well. I was like, I can't believe.
And I'm sitting there, this geezer next to me goes, it's not, is it? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, what the fuck are you doing on here? I'm like, well, it's BA. And he went, mate. He goes, you're on the back row, wedged in. I was like, I know, it's the only seat available. He's like, I can't believe that. But that is because, like, my kids may not end up doing that.
Yeah.
They might get the jet.
Yeah.
What can you do? I've got 2 girls. And it's a little bit different. Whatever anyone says, girls, boys, I'm much softer on them than I would be on my son. Because I'm my father's son. Yeah. And I know that's what he was like with my sister. I mean, she was unbelievable at school. Straight A's at GCSE, straight A's at A levels, but he was much tougher on me, you know, growing up. But the one thing is hard work and kindness or respect. Yeah. You know, I hate people who are disrespectful to people or treat people they think are below them.
Yeah,
100%. The classic telltale is normally in a restaurant. The way that people talk to waiters.
That's always looking at.
Yeah, like come over, like what? Yeah. So you know,
I can't stand people like that at all.
It's like, whoa, no.
Yeah,
you know, like that's a telltale sign. I hate rudeness.
See, that's one in our podcast coming up. There's one thing my mum always taught me: treat the janitor the same as the CEO. And it's like, no matter where I am, I speak to everyone on the same level, as no matter what. But it is important.
And also, one thing that I think evolves in life is want people around you to do well. Obviously, you should always want that, but just want people to do well. Like, that's what aggravates me. And certain people, even in the boxing industry, like, they're dying to see people fail.
Yeah.
But AJ's a great example. People are dying to see AJ retire and fail. But you couldn't meet a nicer bloke.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like this geezer was here now, he would be talking to everyone, right? He'd be talking to kids. He'd be like trying to educate kids. He'd be having photos. He's the nicest bloke you could ever meet. And it's like, why are you that bothered about his success? He's such an amazing story.
Like, people don't have things going on in their life, so they want to see other people fail in their own.
That's a disease.
Yeah, it is. 100%.
And the other thing is social media. Try and get your kids off social media. And I actually think that.
How do you manage that with your kids?
Not very well. I mean, my youngest is like TikTok, walking down the street, but she doesn't understand yet. Do you know what I mean? So she's on TikTok. She's got an Instagram account, but don't really use it. Like the other one doesn't post anything on social media, but she's on it a lot. She's on Snapchat a lot, and it's just like I said to her, like, you know, like negative. I said, like, no one gets more negative comments than me. Like if you read my things, it's like a mixture of abuse, lies, or just general. Like I don't mind the boxing stuff. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes they read it. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, it ain't the best. So it's like they sometimes they'll say to me, "Oh, how'd you like?" I said, you can't say it doesn't affect you, because it does. Even me, like I've got skin like a rhinoceros. If someone calls me something or abuse it or starts talking shit or making stuff up, it of course it's going to wind you up. Now the level to what it does, it won't break me. But then just lately, I came off Twitter and just let the office run it, and it was like a godsend because I'm just reading. Like, and it's not just my page. It's like the For You stuff, and it's just like negativity, fight on the street, plane crash, war. Like it's like, you end up being in this warped mind. The reality is, and I hate to say this because I don't want to be one of those people, but they are trying to control you. I mean, it's all a game. Do you know what I mean? And the faster you understand that, the better, and the more you'll come off it.
See, I'm 37, so I grew up before the era of social media, so I can actually have a conversation with humans.
But that's listen, and I'm not the best role model because I'm on it all the time for work. But I'll be out at dinner, you know, like the other night I was out for dinner and I'm like, one sec, you know, and I'm off and come back, and then they're like, and I'll say to my youngest, right, get off your phone, and they're like, not being funny. Like, what? So
I've been looking at this because I was like, I tend to spend a lot of time on my phone, so I'm trying to be more conscious and more present to say to my kids, like, look, if I'm being on my phone too much, tell me. Or if you want to do something to me, tell me. So I'll come off the phone and we'll do something.
Sometimes I just play it as a game. So I'll say to her, right, what? I said, like my oldest the other night at dinner, I'm going to time you. How long can you not touch your phone? She's like, all right then. And we got to like 1 minute 41. She's like, because she's just got a boyfriend and like, you know, they're all like.
How'd you get on with that?
I think that it can actually be very positive. I mean, they're 16, so they're not like, you know, I think they've probably been together about 4 months and they've actually been out once. It's everything else is Snapchat, do you know what I mean? But it's like, that can be actually very positive because, of course, at the moment, she's like, 9, do you know what I mean? But that could come crashing down quite quickly. You've got to deal with that shit when it comes down as well. But also, the kid's a good kid, and he goes to the gym all the time.
Okay.
So he works quite hard at school.
Do you bring AJ around and be like, you do know?
I've done all that. No, but like even to motivate my kids, not with the boyfriend, but just get them around them and just say like, because they, you know, my eldest said to me the other day, she said, do you know what this boy? He said to me today, you know, work hard at school today, push yourself. You know, and I really did well at school today. And I'm like, are you?
That's what my boyfriend said.
Yeah, but I said, I say that every day. And it really inspired me. I'm like, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's just so, but that's the thing about amateur boxing clubs and stuff like that. It just takes one person. And that's why I think people like AJ, they really understand. And even me to a much smaller degree, one conversation can change someone's life. Like AJ talking to a young kid for 5 minutes and just tell him a few things can completely change his direction. 100%. That's a blessing.
Yeah.
That's an unbelievable blessing.
Yeah.
You know? So,
because I had a bad relationship with my dad, and the Conor Ben Eubank Jr. fight, I firmly believe Eubank Jr. wouldn't have won that fight if Cena wasn't there. Because like the mental thing that he went through of like him not getting there, and you could just see.
Maybe when he gets 6-7 rounds in and it's really tough, maybe that's the difference. You know, I mean, look, those two don't have your normal traditional father-son relationship, and I'm not sure. Well, I am unsure how it all unfolded, but let's keep the romance of the story, you know. But like, still, it's still his dad, and like when you're up against it and your old man comes, I think the best example of that is Stan Dubois, his dad. So when he fought Jarrell Miller, he was on the verge of quitting in the fight. It was about 6 or 7 rounds in. Miller was slobbering all over him, and you could just see Dubois, like, you know, he'd come back and Don Charles screaming at him, and then his dad come onto the front row, and he went, Daniel. I mean, it seems that relationship's a bit, you know, disciplinarian or whatever it's called. And he was like, don't shoot there, don't. Like, okay, Dad, okay. And he went out, got through that round, and then Frank Warren said to him, "Oi, Stan, sit here with me." And at the end of every round, he would get up and scream at him. And he got him through that fight. And look at him now.
It's like amazing what the relationship of a dad and their son. That's why I was like, I got emotional. I'm not gonna lie. After the Eubank fight, because I'm a massive Ben fan anyway. But then that fight, when you just see the relationship of Eubanks and the way that it came about, that he won that fight. I don't think he did win the fight, but it came about he did win the fight. I personally think if Cena weren't there, I don't think he would have won the fight. And it's that little 5% extra where you give yourself, because
every little percentage. But you know, it's the same with a trainer. A lot of people who don't have that father figure in their life, sometimes that's their trainer. Do you know what I mean? And that's where a trainer-fighter relationship is so important. It's the same kind of thing.
Like Tyson.
Yeah, or even like Rob McCracken and AJ when they started out, but he trusted him with everything. Do you know what I mean? So,
Dad, are you finished yet? Dad.
Yeah, man, we finished this episode now. Come on, let's go out, kids.